They actually have all of the risk. Every OEM on the planet, okay, is focused on their market share in EVs. All right, so they have the most to lose. Not a $55 billion market cap company like GM, which is going to, they're going to be around in 100 years, GM, okay? Like, the jury's still out, in my opinion, whether Tesla's going to be around. And you can say, well, they're not particularly profitable and this, that, whatever. But, like, that's the way I think about it. Who's got the most to lose? It's not GM and Ford.
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patrons, Halter Ferguson Financial and Chris. Thank you both for choosing to support the channel. I'm not even going to dignify what Mr. Nathan just said by issuing a response. I just wanted to provide some comedy for today. And I would be curious if you could say one thing to Dan as you watch the rest of this video. In the comments, let me know what would that one thing be. The lovely Tesla boomer mama just put together a quick write-up on the Moody's upgrade of Tesla, highlighting a few key points. Just wanted to put it on your radar if you haven't seen it. Her Substack will be linked below. Yes, Tesla is investment grade, but they're still at the bottom of the rung when most of us know they really should be higher up the ladder. Does it matter? Honestly, not really that much. But as you can see, there are 4 factors that Alexandra pointed out. Some are subjective and some are objective. And her main takeaway was this. In all objective measures, Moody's understands well that Tesla is already by far AAA, aka should be higher up the ladder. In the more subjective criteria, Moody's disregard for Elon shines through and the rating agency uses arbitrary means to knock the rating down. Just know the incentive system is not great for these rating agencies. Back a few years ago, S&P paid a fine over $1 billion in a settlement with state and federal prosecutors. Moody's has been under investigation by the Justice Department. Good news for Tesla, they don't really need them. Tesla should not have to raise any more debt in the future given its strong cash position. And don't forget, Elon said Moody's is irrelevant. Not at all to diminish Alexandra's work, just a little bit of context. It looks like the end of quarter Tesla delivery wave is still in swing, maybe not full swing, but it's not gone either. Tesla is kindly asking people to get their car directly from the truck company in Portugal. There's word on the street this quarter in Portugal could exceed all of 2022, but I'm also hearing in the country there are only between maybe 5 and 20 supercharger locations, so Tesla definitely needs to build that out. In a tweet from the governor of Nuevo León last night, he said that Tesla will indeed reforest the area where Giga Mexico is going and will end with double the number of trees that are required by law. We get results from a new survey of over 4,400 people in the United States. 34% of respondents said that they would consider an EV for their next car. 31% said no. Of those Democrats, 50% of them said they would consider it, while only 26% of Republicans said they would consider an EV. The latest count has 80 EV models for sale in the United States. It still feels lower than that if you ask me. Either way, 56% of respondents would be willing to pay no more than $50,000 for an EV. Honestly though, I thought this was the most interesting. 35% wanted an EV that offered 500 or more miles of range, and then 37% wanted a minimum of 300 miles. The 300 miles thing, I understand, but the 500... that's a lot. Tesla put out a quick video on drag strip mode. I'm not going to play it because I don't think this applies to a majority of the audience here, but just to let you know, it will be linked below if you missed it and want to check it out. Tesla is continuing to open up more supercharger locations across Europe to non-Tesla vehicles. The latest count in Germany has 69 of the 153 locations open to non-Teslas. That's 45%. When it comes to Tesla opening up the United States supercharger network, the plan is over the next 2 years to only open up between 10 and 20%, just to give you a little context. Rivian just rolled out a new software update, and apparently Tesla superchargers with a Magic Dock are now going to show up in Rivian's in-car navigation. Honestly, one of the things I'm most looking forward to is Ford breaking out the financials for its EV division, Model E, because I think this is going to show the rest of the industry how impressive Tesla's numbers really are. CNBC is saying that on Thursday, Ford is set to report its financial results by business unit instead of by region as they have in the past. You know how we often talk about the deep bench at Tesla, aka the overwhelming talent that's actually behind Elon Musk? Over the years, some of that talent has left to go on to create very exciting companies that I think more people need to be aware of. One of those companies is Span, which was created by the former head of Tesla Energy, along with 2 executives, one from Sunrun and one from Amazon. Span is the sponsor of this video, but I'm imploring you not to skip ahead because I really think this company is special. You may have even seen Matt Farrell going as far as saying that the Span smart home electric panel fixed his Tesla Powerwall. Whether you're considering a solar system and a home battery backup, or you're just considering upgrading a basic dumb panel that you currently have, I really think Span is something you should at least check out before you make any decisions, as a Span panel can actually help you build out the right sizing for a future solar system. Span is one of the best award-winning smart panels for your home that I think happens to look much sleeker than a standard panel box. Span's load management technology lets homeowners control and set priorities for which appliances will receive backup power. Span also extends the average battery backup power time during an outage by 40%, 40. It allows you to track and monitor each individual circuit, and you can add multiple appliances to each, setting the priority for each one or for areas in your home. This will allow you to track energy use over time. Nowadays, most homes have appliances that use something called phantom power even when those devices are turned off. Span can help you uncover some of these, and you can't save what you can't measure. So if you're interested in learning more about Span or their new Span Drive EV charger for your home, I've had meetings with their team and they are awesome. Just check out span.io, it's also linked below. Thank you to Span for sponsoring this video, and thanks to all of you for supporting the channel. Here we're going to get on what I believe is a slept on narrative, but it's something that will never get the punchy headlines, but it's important for investors to know. With Tesla's announcement of Giga Mexico, it's already influencing cross-border logistics and trucking. When Tesla moved to Austin, many of their tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers either moved to Mexico to start new operations or increase the size and scope of current operations. As we go through this next section, just keep in mind the alliance of Canada, United States, and Mexico as a counterbalance to China. This is a huge deal. When Giga Mexico comes online, it could boost the number of automotive suppliers in Mexico by 4 times the current amount of 127. Doing the math, that's an additional 381 automotive suppliers that could be moving to Mexico to be close to Giga Mexico. What is every single automaker on Earth trying to do right now? Compress and shrink the supply chain, do more things vertically integrated, rely on less suppliers, and when you have to rely on suppliers, have them closer logistically to save money on cost, because every dollar matters right now. Now, I have not been able to confirm reports like this, but there have been these reports that companies are already planning to invest in new factories in Mexico or invest more in current operations because Tesla plans to set up shop here. The article itself comes from FreightWaves, so it's from a shipping and logistics standpoint, and I would just mention Tesla Semi, hint hint. So many automotive companies and suppliers right now are focused on looking for true partners, a company like Tesla that has demand that they can be sure of, that will push the supply chain to be seamless and faster. Ultimately, when you have a big OEM build a plant in Mexico, especially like Monterrey, one of the largest shipping points in Mexico, it's advantageous as a shipper to go there. So not just suppliers, the logistics. This should dramatically increase demand for trucking services. I would just add, don't sleep on the Mexican workforce. Continuing those themes, all of these suppliers, and I would add automotive companies, OEMs, have the opportunity right now to rethink everything about their business. Anybody that's been paying attention is seeing this across the board for every automotive company, really except Tesla, because they have everything already figured out. These other companies are now basically at ground zero, figuring out how they're going to operate the next decade plus. We've already seen this. Many of these companies will rely on mergers, acquisitions, or strategic alliances to bring on new capabilities. One example will be OEMs looking to bring on more software talent and more autonomous driving capabilities. One of the narratives I think is slept on the most is this part, strategic alliances, and how Tesla has been doing this now for years. If you watched Investor Day, you may remember they work with their suppliers down to tier 4, 5, and 6 to actually build out custom manufacturing lines and custom products that Tesla designs in-house, and then they work in partnership with these suppliers to set up these custom lines. And companies like GM, Ford, and Toyota are not going to be able to go to these same suppliers and just say, hey, I'll take one of those parts that Tesla has designed, because that's not how it works. If you follow private equity at all, you may have known this already, but the EV space has become a sexy area of the market. Interest in the EV space is high because of automakers' skyrocketing investments. We've talked about it. Over $500 billion has been committed to electric vehicles over the next few years. What does this mean? Plenty of new companies, new startups, new technology, OEMs needing some of that technology, aka mergers and acquisitions, or these strategic partnerships that will play a new role in setting up the new auto industry going forward. Looping Canada into the mix because of things like government incentives, access to resources, and clean energy, multinational companies are pumping billions of dollars into the EV manufacturing sector in Canada. Most recently, we have VW setting up a battery factory that could be one of the largest ever investments in Canada's auto sector. And no, VW is not the only one. All of these companies, and I would add Tesla as well, and you would know if you've been watching Electrified now for the past few months, Tesla is very involved in Canada. Companies announced more than $11 billion in investments in EV projects just in Canada last year. In the United States, where our economy is roughly 12 times the size as Canada's, we saw about $39 billion of similar investments last year. We know that cobalt use is not going away anytime soon, and Toronto-based Electra Battery Minerals, who was actually First Cobalt, and we did an interview with the CEO about 2 years ago now, this refinery is the only facility in North America to process battery-grade cobalt. The only other similar refinery in the Western Hemisphere is in Brazil. Again, this interview was closer to 2 years ago, but I'll drop it below in case you missed it. So honestly, to tie this all together, right before our eyes, we have these new partnerships and alliances and reliance on Mexico, the United States, and Canada to work together to create this new EV industry from mine to battery as a way to counterbalance reliance on China, who right now makes up for what, 75% of all battery cells made globally? And that doesn't even touch on their refining market share or the semiconductors in Taiwan. So I think you get the picture. This Rethink Everything is going on behind the scenes underneath the surface, and we get to watch it unfold in the coming years. And what does it mean for Tesla? Well, many of these suppliers want to get in with Tesla because they have the biggest EV demand so far. And the governments around the world know that wherever Elon and Tesla decide to set up shop, there's going to be a flood of other companies and business activity taking place. That just means Tesla is going to get the best deals and to work with the cream of the crop. Again, I'd encourage you to go check out span.io, even if you don't plan to buy one right away, just to go learn about the product and talk with their team. I think you will enjoy the experience. You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.